So welcome aboard the Galeon 560. You join us on a lovely, crisp winter November morning, and today we have a special guest with us who's kindly given up his time. That is Tony Castro. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you.
In the business probably over 40 years, I think, from what I've read.
47.
Oh gosh, okay, well.
And I was just lucky because the dealer knew me, and he said, "Oh, I know somebody maybe you can talk to. It'd be good to sort of have some discussion." So he called me up. Well, originally the guy who started the company was in the Merchant Navy.
Okay.
Right, and because of that, he's a seaman. He's a serious ocean person, so he knows what the sea is like.
So what was the biggest boat they were building at the time?
7 meters.
Oh wow,
nothing.
Okay, so little day boats.
But in the 15 or so years before, they had been taught how to build boats by the French.
Right.
Because they built, close to 4,000 boats by then already, despite not being Italian,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
Which they seem to get away with all the time.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember them saying no to me. Every time we came up with any mad idea, they never said no. They've always set out to do. We want the best 56-footer. We want the best this. We want the best that.
Yeah.
Even these days, everything starts with a pencil.
With a pencil.
And then it sort of goes forward.
Yeah.
Of course, nowadays, because the company is much bigger and they got various models, there is quite a lot of thinking about where you slot a new model. Never less than 3 ever projects going at the same time.
On the same time. Wow.
Never less.
Okay.
Sometimes more.
I mean, something just moving on a little bit from that is that one of the signature features on the Galeon yachts is the balconies or the beach mode, as the factory call it.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I can see, that looked like your idea. I've
had.
What
I've
sort of
had lots
inspired you to come up with that idea? Because I mean, it's what Galeon, to be fair, I would say in our involvement in the last couple of years.
Yes.
Everybody talks about it.
I know that's because it's such a massive, significant thing. Yeah. I think the first one came out in 2010.
Right.
With one of my favorite Galeons, which is a 500.
Yes.
And
it was just.
It's just a very visible feature as well. Yeah. So obviously it's.
And I guess the thinking behind it was just to increase the cockpit space on a smaller boat.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you?
Yeah, and also we pay a lot of attention or how we think the owners would like to use their boats.
Sure.
Because over this time, over 25 years, people use the boats very differently.
Yeah.
Right. And in the old days, or even before Galeon, people, they did long voyages. They actually traveled on their boats a lot. Yeah. Nowadays, there's people who use the boats just to be in this environment.
Yeah,
just
it's a very social atmosphere, isn't it?
And to enjoy the location and to enjoy this kind of lifestyle that a boat affords you. Yeah. So then suddenly some things become more important, and perhaps other things become a little bit less important.
Yeah, sure.
But as that changes, we try to think. We try to think. Well, what can we come up with that will make the experience more enjoyable? So we look at different areas of the boat. So what shall we? Are we ready for? Like a few years ago, we started making much more use of the foredeck, for example.
Yeah.
So, he started off by having a more complex layout in the front. Yeah. Then he moved on to the movable seats in the front. Yeah. And then eventually he said, wouldn't it be nice if you could just walk straight through? So we created this massive window on the windscreen.
On the 640,
in order to go to the foredeck.
Yes.
So obviously when Jacek first saw that, actually I do remember, because at that time he didn't say yes or no. I think he just kind of did not know what to say.
What to say, yeah.
And because it sounded like one of those, no, we can never manage that, you know. Yeah. But characteristically, we just just went on and sort of
well,
made it happen. It was not easy at all, because it was obviously being in the front. It was quite difficult to make it watertight and all the rest of it, and also because it's got a lower part and a top part. Yeah. Oh God, it is very complex.
Well, I can tell you from our own experience that single design feature had sold. We had a 640 in stock this year, and the couple that have bought that boat, one of their main decisions, along with the balconies, was that they could walk through the foredeck of onto the foredeck without having to go outside.
That's right,
and they love it.
Yeah. Because it was a good idea. If you look at it, if you think about how people would use the boat during the day, it makes so much sense. Yeah. It's enjoyable, and then there's a little bar nearby,
you have the sink and the wet bar,
and the cool drinks and so on. So it just becomes like another area, which is often nice, because if you have kids and so on, you might like the kids to go to one corner, and you can have a snooze elsewhere. So it's nice to have these different areas as we have now. Up there, fly. Then front is getting more and more sophisticated all the time. Then on the back.
Yes, and a lot of the models have the carousel, which again our customers seem to love. And to be able to rotate
and look aft.
The seating.
How often have we thought about why on earth are we always looking at the patio door?
When the view is that way.
when the view is often that way, isn't it? So
well, particularly the 510 that we've recently sold. Again, the customers absolutely love that idea, and also being able to put the little fridges underneath the seats we've done, and also combining that with the tender garage, which is a perfect solution to make the best use of that of that space. So,
indeed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, for example, one time they chartered the train, that high-speed train that goes from Paris to Dijon, and we all went for dinner. Dijon an hour later on this high-speed train to capture that data. It sounds a bit sort of high-tech, but data is everything.
I think
without data, what shall we design tomorrow? And also to sort of. To sort of excite a bit the market, something new, as Galeon has done with the GTO, for example. When we saw this opportunity growing in America, in particular, where those kind of boats were obviously very dated, and they needed something sort of fresh. Often, what they create allows us to then style it different. So you have the helm stations that now look. A little bit like Star Wars. But because they evolve, that allows the design also to evolve. Now the pressure is on after 5 or 6 years. The pressure is on to come up with the next new thing. So that makes life very difficult for the builder. Galeon is not going to go and invent synthetic fuel. We don't have time for that, right? And I think there's not enough emphasis on what can we do now? What can we do today? Right? And the stuff that we could do today that we're not doing enough. And then on the other hand, of course, how many new ideas can we possibly introduce without making everything obsolete? So I mean, there's quite a few things there. So he's fairly turbocharged with new things.
Turbocharged, okay. That's a good word.
So a good hull design, for example. We could have deviated a lot more if we were to follow pure fashion, if you like. So in that sense,
you've got a good formula. You didn't want to change it.
We don't want to mess around with something that works well. I mean, there is still a lot of Galeon owners who actually do use the boats out there. And
so it still has to be a good seaboat.
So we still try to make it as good seaboat as possible.